What's going on, guys? Zane here with Everything Vive. Want to welcome you back for another episode. In today's episode, we have an interview with Richard and Toni from Toast VR, and they are the team that brought us Richie's Plank Experience. So we actually speak with Richie himself. It was an awesome conversation. I will just give a heads up that this was recorded before the holidays. Ronnie and I actually batched a couple of interviews together before he went out of town. So there are some references to the holidays, and so I just want to give a heads up on that. But we cover a lot of ground. We've been trying to schedule this for a while, but just with the time difference, with Richard and Toni being in Australia, Brisbane, Australia, it was difficult, and with the holidays and all that. But we finally got on the show. We're so excited about it because, like we say in the episode, it really is one of the top experiences that we love showing off to people. And so, yeah, if you haven't tried the game yet, please do. And if you haven't already and have wanted to listen to some of the stories behind it, well, this episode is here for you. So without further ado, let us jump right in. Richard, Toni, how's it going, guys?
G'day, really well. Thanks for having us on your show.
Hi.
We are so excited about it. Zane here. I got Ronnie as well. Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Excited to have guests on the show as always. So we were talking to Richard and Toni before starting the podcast, and sounds like they're having a lot of fun over there. So
yes,
we are too.
And by over there we mean Brisbane, Australia. Did I say that correct, guys?
Second one is good.
Second one is good. So awesome. Long distance podcasting. I love it. But how are you guys doing?
Yeah, really. We kind of started our Christmas holiday, so we're loving it at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, what is Christmas like in Australia? I've never been, unfortunately. Ronnie has, but
yeah. So our Christmas trees, and we still have the snow theme, even though it's hot, because Santa comes from the North Pole where there is snow. So we still have that kind of the fake snow decorations to make him feel welcome.
So Santa's basically trying to get away from the North Pole when he comes to visit you guys.
That's it. Yeah.
In board shorts and a surfboard.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
absolutely. Well, let's jump right in. You guys came out with probably one of the coolest experiences on VR that I've played so far in the time that I've had the Vive, and I know Ronnie's had the Vive since launch, and he just absolutely fell in love with the game as well once it came out, and that is Richie's
awesome.
Plank Experience.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's you, Richard, or should we call you Richie? I guess.
Yeah, it sort of is me, but not really.
Now, quite a funny story, actually.
Go ahead, please.
You want to tell us?
Yeah, so it was the day before we released the game, and it was called the Plank Experience. And then we realized there was a few other experiences out there that had similar names. So we're like, what are we going to do? We need to add something to it to make it stand out and more memorable. And Toni was just like, let's just put Richie in at the front of it. And we're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm the only one that calls Richard Richie. And I was just like, Richie's Plank Experience. And then we did it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got such a nice ring to it, though. I mean, like, it made it more personable. Like, I'm like, I don't know who Richie is, but I can definitely relate to the fear of heights thing. I'm assuming that maybe this was built upon the fear of heights that you or people around you have.
Yeah. We also love watching people walk it. And
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
that's half the fun.
I can tell. I mean, Zane was totally right. So I hadn't actually heard of the game yet, and I mean, I've played all kinds of stuff. Yeah, this is a while back, a few months ago, when I was coming over here for something, and Zane literally was like, "Oh, you have to check out this new game. Have you heard of Richie's Plank Experience?" I said no.
I didn't tell him anything about it. I'm like, just get inside the headset and go.
Yeah, and I went, up the different floors, and I actually started with the plank and then went down. Mm-hmm. And the first, as soon as I tried walking over there, and my knees were starting to buckle, and I started laughing and just like, oh, this is so crazy. And just from that point on, like after I finally took off the headset, after doing the plank, I did the firefighting, and then basically completely forgot about fighting fires and just flew around the city for like a good 10 or 15 minutes. And then after that, took off the headset, and I was like, man, my wife came, she tried it, I made her try it immediately.
And she couldn't do it.
And she tried crawling across the plank and then gave up. And she just would not even, she was just laughing hysterically, like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I remember she was trying to scoot across, and she's just like, nope, can't do it. Never mind.
Tossing the Vive controller to get the donut at the end, instead of actually getting out there. And it was just, it was really, so we, immediately went home and I bought the game. And then ever since then, whenever I'm showing off the Vive to people, that's one of the first things that I show them. And honestly, still, for most people, it's the one that brings the biggest smile to people's faces, I think.
It's because it's great in a group setting, people watching, and so.
Yeah, and it's nice and simple, so it doesn't have a lot of the, teleporting mechanics and stuff that, people that are new to the Vive don't really understand right away. And but everybody gets the sense of, especially first timers, to be to have that sense of presence and be able to actually fly around the city and be up at that great height, I think is so cool. And I'm actually surprised there aren't, we can probably get into that a little bit more later, but there's just so many cool things that I think you guys did really well in your game that I hope to see in future projects and in other games.
Absolutely. We came here to hear from you guys. I feel like we're just talking about the game now. So maybe we can do a floor by floor analysis. I'm just curious, what the thought process, what the inspiration was for behind the game in general, and then because the different floors, I guess, all provide something unique to the experience. But I don't know if you guys want to go ahead and give us some insight.
Sure. Okay. I'll tell the quick 2-minute story. We got married earlier in the year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And part of our honeymoon was in Tokyo, Japan.
So romantic.
Romantic Tokyo. and then so it was lots of food, lots of robots, and we just kind of discovered virtual reality, and we saw that there was a virtual reality arcade there, and it was put on by Namco and Bandai. They were experimenting with VR game development, and they had about 12 different VR games there to try, and one of them was this plank walking experience with a real-world plank. And it was pretty much the only one there that everyone was waiting to try.
Wow. Okay.
And it was a complete hit, and everyone was screaming. We loved it. Tony freaked out. And we got home, and we ordered a Vive because we loved it so much, and we were telling friends about this plank walking experience. And I'm a hobby developer. I've been doing that for about 10 years as a hobby. So I knew how to use Unity, and I whipped together a scene and just to show people and see what it would be like. And everyone loved it, and then made it look a bit better, put a video on Reddit, and people said, that needs to be a proper game. But then I was like, well, there needs to be more to it. So we made it look a lot better, and I invented, I don't know, I don't think it's been done before, but we created a way for people to use the Vive controllers, which was so accurate, to map out a real-world object into the virtual reality world. So it's now, I don't know what term you'd use for it, but you can buy a plank of wood from the hardware store, any size, any shape, place it anywhere in your play area, and use your controllers to down to the millimeter or the sub-inch, I don't know what you guys would call it, the proper size, length, width, and height even, and even angle. And that's now in the virtual reality world. And I think that was something unique that we needed to add. And then was like, we need to do more, because a lot of the reviews on Steam, people say about some experiences that they're too short. So we thought, what can we do? We
really just wanted to fly around the city.
Yeah. We also wanted to fly around the city, and I thought it wouldn't be hard to add on the skywriting. So then there's the Zen-like experience where you fly around drawing And people do giant penises and love hearts. And
that's usually the sign that your game is
all over the city. Yeah,
yeah, that's usually the sign that your game is reaching a certain status when all of that's going on.
Absolutely. When people have enough time to be putting up stuff like that, you've succeeded.
Yeah. So we thought that will help add extra value to the owners of it. But really, for us, the value is the repeat use for every visit when you get visitors over and you want to scare them. And
I was just gonna mention that because I know for people in the U.S. it goes for $7.99 US. I'm not sure internationally, but it was something that I jumped on right away after seeing a demo video online. And like I was saying, like there's so many other games out there that I don't want to get into price and replay value and things like that, but for other games. But for Richie's Plank Experience, like Ronnie was saying, this is like the number one or number two thing that I show to people right away. Like either I put them in the tutorial first and then have them try Richie's Plank Experience, or I just go straight for Richie's Plank Experience. And it's so much fun because I think there's something to it that makes VR very real. I think especially for newcomers and first-time users, they try out VR and they don't know exactly what they're going to get, but they put the headset on and all of a sudden they realize that they know they're in my living room, but they can't take that step forward out of the elevator, and there's just something that is very sobering, for people. Go ahead.
And just to add to that, I think it's really like, it's not something that you think about too much, probably, especially players that are just, being overwhelmed by the experience of being at the top of the building, as a first-time VR user themselves. But even how you guys did the elevator and being able to actually just physically walk over to the elevator and turn around and press the button and everything. Like I like that that's also added in there as well, because like a lot of the rest of the game is you using the controllers to, fly around and all that kind of thing. But to be able to actually do the walking into the elevator at the beginning, I thought that was a really nice touch because it shows people that you can actually, walk around in the room scale.
Yeah, it takes full. I was going to say it takes full advantage of room scale.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
look at the birds.
Yep. Yeah, everything. Those are really nice.
Comment on birds.
I can't. I'm too embarrassed to admit how much time I've spent chasing that helicopter, but I don't think I'm ever going to catch it when I'm flying around.
Well, in the recent update, the one with the Santa Claus simulator, I've turned up the speed of the rocket controllers.
Oh, okay. Well,
so you can fly a lot faster now.
We'll have to give that a try. As soon as I saw the Santa update, we were going through.
We were throwing presents into chimneys, and
it's a nice touch. I really like it.
Yeah, good. Thanks.
So, Richard, you were saying that you were a hobby developer. I'm just curious, have you developed non-VR titles? And I guess what are some of the challenges maybe that you faced in developing for VR? And what was that experience like in translating it over?
So I'd never published or finished even a game before. I just competed in some 48-hour game development competitions like Ludum Dare, just maybe a few times over the last 10 years, and just to learn and to enjoy it. And I never realistically thought we could make a business out of it, because, you see mobile phone game developers and they spend 12 months slaving away, and then they publish it and they get a dozen downloads and it's a free game. And I'm like, oh man, that's just so risky. I don't think I would take that risk. But when virtual reality came out, I thought, it's a new era. It's a good opportunity at the moment. And I feel like I was at the point where I could make something of quality if I just quit what I'm doing and spend full time on it. And you asked about the challenges. Some of them were like the user interface. So you can't just force people to look where you want them to look. And it was actually harder than I thought it would be to do a decent user interface that works. But it's also the scale. In a regular game, it doesn't really matter what scale you're using too much. But in virtual reality, if something's too big or too small, it looks wrong. Like way wrong. And what other challenges? Don't know. Yeah, I think
It was that easy,
using Unity or using Unity or Unreal, like it does most of the work for you. And I think the hard part for us is we're not artists, so making it look amazing is probably what has taken up most of the time. And also the mathematics behind setting up that real world plank, that was probably the hardest.
How did
I go through my source code now and I'm not even sure how it works.
Yeah, I mean, you said, so you said, I mean, as far as you know, you're the only one that's really came up with that so far. Like, I mean, what kind of how challenging was it to find a way to implement that? Because it sounds like that was a big part of what made your experience in Tokyo so memorable.
Yeah. So it started off, just being able to control the length of the plank and then the width, which was super easy. I mean, any developer would be able to do that quite like just in an hour kind of thing. But then I was like, but some people want to place it in different position. And so I started doing that and I realized, man, this is harder than I thought because it's actually not the plank that is moving, it's the play space.
Yeah.
And then rotating that in the correct way, depending on the rotation of the real world plank. That's what probably did my head in the most.
And then we had a lighthouse out.
When we started developing, one of our lighthouses blew. So
oh gosh,
we developed most of it with one lighthouse.
Wow. Okay. I was actually just reading about that, how functional the Vive is or still is with only one lighthouse. So that's actually incredible that you were able to do it. Like it developed most of the game. Wow, that's impressive.
Such a credit to the Vive and how they've done it. It's just really good technology. Yeah.
Very cool. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. And then we spent a lot of time making it as scary as possible. And I was a bit inspired by the developers of The Blue. I think they said in a podcast that they really focused on trying to show scale. So they would have lots of things up close that are small and lots of objects that are small and then couple of objects that are gigantic. And experiencing that in The Blue and the fact that they spent time focusing on that, I think really helped make it an amazing experience. So when doing the plank, I was thinking, well, if that works on there, let's try to do things that are really far away and also really close. So when you're at the top of the plank, obviously the first thing you see in front of you is the plank, but then the furthest thing away is the road and the cars beneath.
Yeah.
But I felt like that wasn't enough because your depth perception works better when there's multiple things in between. So we'd add some clouds in between, birds in between, air conditioning vents in between to really show, wow, you really are far away.
Yeah.
What out of all those things, what do you think? Like, I bet during the development process there was probably a time where you added something and it just made a huge difference. I'm just kind of curious. Like, what was it that? Was there any time like that where you were just like, like we found something here?
Yeah, probably making the nearby buildings closer by.
Okay.
And also making the trees more realistic.
Okay.
But yeah, repositioning it so you're kind of like in the middle of a square, or like a city square, and there's buildings in every direction. I think that helped quite a lot. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, did you guys? Out of curiosity, did you model the city after any particular city, or was it you just kind of created something from scratch?
Just started from scratch, but I guess the modernness of the city would be like maybe where we're from in Australia. There's maybe one or two old buildings, and most of the buildings are quite new. But no, we didn't model it from anything. There is kangaroos in the mountains now, so I guess you could say it'd have to be a typical large Australian city. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, because actually, very oddly enough, like there's I would say a good percentage of people, over 50% of the people who jump into the game after they've had a chance to start flying around on the fire deck and seeing the city. That's one of their questions. It's usually like, "Oh, what city is this? It looks like so familiar." And so I was like, you know what? I've never had an answer. I'm just like, I would assume somewhere in Australia. And people are always like, "Is this Chicago?" And I'm like, I doubt it. But I was like, oh, if we're gonna have Richie on the phone, might as well ask him where they're at.
Yeah. Sorry, there's no real city, but that would be fun though to do that one day. Yeah.
So after so you started off and I don't know if you know any of the details on, I mean, what was the going back to your experience in Tokyo before you had gotten the Vive? How did that I mean, were there a lot of interesting ideas that you saw there that, like, looking back, like some of those ideas might be something that might apply to the Vive and like home virtual reality systems? Or
Yeah. So are you talking about other games that were there?
Yeah, just in general in the tech. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with any of the stuff really that they would have showed at a show like that. So I was just kind of curious when you were talking about it. It just made me think, of what. Like, I honestly haven't really seen many Japanese developed games in VR because they're not. I mean, I haven't seen many in the Steam marketplace, or I doubt they're in the Oculus store. So, I mean, everything that I've experienced in VR has all been by mostly US and European developers.
Yeah, you're right. I think they have potential too. I mean, I'd love to see them come up with a big mech game where you can ride around in a mech. I'm sure Japan could nail that. And they did have one there. It was a bit short. Like, I was disappointed that it finished so quickly. And it was fun though. And I think they can do better. And I think that's why it's good that they did it, because they can experiment and see what people really enjoy. They had a skiing one, downhill skiing, which was quite a lot of fun. Like, at the arcades, regular arcades, they have a skiing simulator and there's actual real skis that you can put your feet into and ski poles. So they had that hooked up to the VR, and that worked quite well, except when you went over jumps and landed, it just felt way out. It would have been better just not to do the jumps really. But when I went off a mountainside, off a cliff, I was like, I don't know if I screamed in my head, but I don't know if I screamed out loud. And they had this really powerful fan blowing as well, and so that really helped sell the experience.
Along those same lines, I mean, what do you think of I guess the future of virtual reality in kind of public places like arcades and different? I mean, I haven't actually experienced any of those types of places for myself, but you hear of places that almost do this kind of 4D, I don't know, like more immersive version of VR where they're implementing stuff like fans and real world environments and kind of stuff on an even higher level than just having a plank, designing whole rooms around a virtual reality experience to then add. I mean, do you, as someone that has kind of seen the development side of VR and have had some success in that area, I mean, do you think that the industry is going to do you think there's going to be growth in those areas, or do you think because it's already in the homes that most people are just going to be focused on doing that?
Yeah, awesome question, and it is something that we've thought about. I think they are going to be so important for at least the next maybe 6 years or 5 to 10 years, because at the moment it's still too unaffordable for a lot of people. And so that's one issue, and arcades are a great way to solve that problem. Like back in the 90s and 80s, there would have been ways to get your own video games, but arcades was the only affordable way. And so similarly, that's going to be very important. But I think perhaps more importantly is it's the arcades will help solve the misconceptions about what VR is. And you've probably heard people say, virtual reality, I tried that at an event and I didn't think it was that good really. And I'm like, what was it that you tried? And I was like, well, it was this like Gear VR thing, and it was a 360 video, and I'm like, oh my god! And they had this big sign that said VR here, and I'm like, that's not. So anyway, so I think it's really frustrating when you hear that.
No, we ran into those same.
And also even
same
mobile
people.
phone VR.
Yeah,
it's like it's not the same. And
not at all.
So I think they're going to be brilliant for people to try it, and one of the things we're most proud of is early next year there's a science center in Denmark, which is more like it's like a theme park science center. It's called the Universe Science Park. And it's like a huge theme park based around science, and they're building a new VR building.
Wow.
And they want to teach all the visitors about how virtual reality works, how the lighthouses works, why you can see 3D, so all the kids can learn about this. So in the future, they might be interested in taking that a career path in that kind of science. And I think that is brilliant as well. They're going to be setting up project cars, like an 8-seat project cars.
Wow.
They're going to be setting up.
They've set up a plank.
And they've set up two of Richie's planks.
Wow.
With
That's
fans.
so cool.
Congratulations.
So they're building.
That's the kind of stuff we like to get involved with.
Yeah. So they're building like full sets, and
That sounds amazing.
Also tilt brush, and I think that is just brilliant.
Yeah. How did they? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, I mean, how did you first hear about what they were doing, and how did they reach out to you? How did they find out about you guys?
Yeah, sure. They saw the game on Reddit, and then before even we published it, they contacted us. Like they saw that initial video that we made, and they were like, "Can we collaborate?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. We haven't finished yet, but when it's done, we'll try it out. And if you like it, yeah, let's do something. Let's work together on something." And so yeah, that's happening. They're going to finish construction of their new building early next year.
Wow. Well, like I said, congratulations again. And that's amazing. That sounds just the idea behind not only having a museum exhibit about virtual reality generally, but also to break it down in technical terms and be able to actually show people more tangibly all of the various technologies that go into it. Because I think still, it's kind of mind-boggling to think of how many technologies had to get to a certain point to work together in order to make virtual reality experiences like we have today possible.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, and then also to have your game or the app that you guys created there as part of it. I think again it goes to show what type of experience Richies Plank experience is, and just the kind of impact that it has on VR users and especially for first time. I know I mentioned it earlier, and I don't want to keep on harping on that, but I just feel like there's something about that type of experience that one makes it very real for people trying VR for the first time, and two is also very memorable. And so congratulations to you guys for getting that in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
It sounds like you guys hadn't set up a real plank before.
Yeah.
Strongly suggest it.
No, we hadn't. I mean, this is just people kind of walking across the living room floor, and so. But the plank is such a fantastic idea. I don't know why we hadn't even thought about that.
To be completely honest,
it's 10 times scarier with a real world plank.
No, I can only imagine. That's what when you guys mentioned that, I don't know how. Like, I didn't know that was possible, actually. So
okay,
that's
then
what
I'm going on Amazon right now, seeing what they have under planks.
Just go to your hardware store. Just a tip when you set it up, put like a book on the under the start of it.
Okay.
And in the middle and the end, put some sponges.
So when you walk out, shaky. Yeah,
it adds a bit of wobble, and it's firm at the start, so it feels quite realistic.
We have a blog on our website that has tips on how to make a good plank.
Okay, we will definitely make sure we share that.
You just gave us like a whole new life to your game because, like I said, like not exaggerating. I mean, I've booted up Richie's Plank Experience probably I don't know, God knows how many times. And I never thought about, like, this adds something completely new. So
Yeah.
thank
All
you
right,
for that.
We've had people tell us that they use like an ironing board.
Oh, that would work
find a
pretty well
play.
too.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube. I don't know what the title of the YouTube video is, but he uses the arm on his couch as a plank.
That's so scary and
sits at the end of the plank,
semi-dangerous.
like at the end of his couch. Quite funny.
That's really funny. I'm just picturing all of the crazy things that you could do to someone, especially if they didn't really know what they were getting themselves into before they started the game.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, no, we're definitely gonna invite people over again and see.
See
what we
that
can
actually
do.
adds a whole new meaning to all of the warnings at the beginning of the experience in the elevator to me now.
Yes.
But that's awesome. Actually, so we've mostly been talking about the plank, but I will say that one of the coolest things that I liked about the game when I first played it was the flying around the city. So I don't know if you're able to talk a little bit about that, just in terms of, I mean, you guys did a good job of I think, letting people be able to kind of, boost themselves around while also not getting, super motion sickness and stuff. I don't know if, what went into making all of that possible, but.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So about blocking peripheral vision a little bit to help make it feel like you're not going so fast. So some games will blur it or black it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I was like, what if I just add plumes and plumes of smoke coming out of your rockets? So if you put them out in front like Superman, that will actually help block your peripheral vision.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That works.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
The other one is that the rockets never rotate you for you. To turn around, you actually have to turn around yourself.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
Whereas some games will turn you for you, which is I think that's horrible. Like when I tried that, it just didn't work at all.
I'm sure that really hits the motion sickness button right there.
Yeah, that's it. And also the tilting, and I think it's called pitch or roll. Mm-hmm. There's no pitch or roll. It's purely the rockets just control your position.
Okay.
And anything else is you changing it, you having to turn or look up or look down kind of thing. And it just I think it felt natural for people. It sounds like it would be really weird, but I just think it was nice and just the simplest possible way to do it. And it turned out to be quite a natural feeling for people.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've literally had people that don't play games at all, like, people that are kind of, older people that aren't used to using controllers and that kind of thing. And they've been perfectly fine getting around with the rockets. So that's actually, and they don't really have a whole lot of experience moving anything around on a screen or anything like that. Yeah. So I think that goes to show. I mean, it seems like it's pretty intuitive then.
No, it is very well designed. I had a lot of fun with it, and it just like you said, I think that's the good word for it. Intuitive. The controls are very intuitive.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You go. Okay. The hard part was landing on buildings and turning off the collider and the physics on and off sometimes, depending on what you're doing. That was probably one of the trickier things to do, so that you can walk around and so you can't. It's hard to explain, but being able to fall off buildings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was something that we had to really work at and also land on them.
No, because that's actually, I mean, one of the things that kind of, I mean, and maybe you've thought about this, maybe you haven't, I'm not sure, but one of the things that I noticed about people playing it for the first time is how nervous and scared they are about walking on the plank. And if, if you have to fall, if you by accidentally fall or something like that, just how freaked out people get from that versus when they have the rockets and they're flying around the city at even higher heights, yet they're not afraid anymore, and they feel empowered
It's
by
weird.
it's kind of a strange thing, because all of a sudden you see one person go from one extreme that they can barely move to the next minute they're flying around, and that's even in an environment like ours where I didn't even use a real plank. So I'm not even adding that extra sense of danger by making them feel like they're on an object. I just noticed that
I think it's because they have the controllers and they're in control. I think it's once you've got the controllers to fly and you know if you
there's definitely
pull the trigger,
different mindset.
You're in control.
Yeah, and people get that right away, and as soon as they feel like it's very interesting, actually.
Very cool. Well, Richard, Toni, I want to be respectful of your time. We just have a couple more questions for you guys, if that's all right.
Of course.
Sure.
So, well, the first one, I knew you guys came out with the spider update, which was fantastic. I have a friend who just absolutely is terrified of spiders, and we were very evil and surprised her with it. And I wish we had gotten everything recorded. We only got little bits of it here and there, but that I thought was a fantastic addition. Obviously, you guys had the Santa update as well, or the Christmas update.
Yep.
I'm just curious, looking forward, what can we expect out of for Richie's Plank Experience, or are there other titles that you guys are working on? I guess I'm just curious what the future looks like for you both.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So we're both still looking at all the feedback that comes back. You may have noticed that the city is progressively looking better as well and looking bigger, but it might be gradual enough where you don't even notice, but that's definitely something we're actively working on, and we are doing a lot to make that look even better in the future as well. So that's one thing we're working on, and we will also be working on a new game,
Flying game.
a flying game to
Nice.
utilize those
I'm
rockets.
so excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm
So
imagining.
we're just getting a lot of feedback from people at the moment and like testing a few things out, kind of because there's so many options of what we can do. We kind of have to start making decisions. And
So I have a question for you guys about that.
Sure.
Would you want to see a game that's more story based, say like how like Half-Life works? It's a really good story with action in between the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you want to see more of a game that's pick up and play with a focus purely on fun?
So I feel like I'm gonna speak not necessarily for myself.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just feel like the one big criticism that you see out there for the Vive right now is the lack of full-length titles or more in-depth titles. And so I think anybody working on those or trying to come up with those types of experience should definitely be supported, because we could definitely use them. But that's not to say that, we shouldn't be also focusing on pick up and play types of games, because there's so many out there that are fantastic, they're unique, and they provide a lot of replay value. That and VR is just so young right now that you can show off those experiences so many times to all the different people in your network who want to check out what VR is. So I think there's room for both. I hope that's not a cop out of an answer. I guess for me personally, it's really just more subjective, and it would depend on what the exact experience is. But I honestly have fun with both. Like I played the gallery that came with it, and I play, and then Richie's Plank Experience is right up there with it too, is like, some of the top games that are coming up on Steam for me.
For my answer, man, I'm also divided on it, because I normally with most types of games, I tend to appreciate story-driven games more. So like on traditional games. So if I was just playing something on my PC or on like a console, I tend to be the kind of person, I don't really get into a ton of stuff like multiplayer, like online shooters and that sort of thing. I mean, I like great, gameplay experiences, but I tend to like games that are mostly story-based. But that said, I feel like right now especially, a lot of the strengths of VR seem to be leaning towards more of the fun experiences. And I don't know if that's because we've only seen, so part of my fear is that with more narrative story-based games, I think production value and kind of the big spectacle plays a larger part in what you get out of the game. So like an Uncharted, for example, that certainly has decent gameplay and everything, but I think a lot of what you like about it is, the storyline and these big set piece moments, and Half-Life is kind of the same way. Half-Life feels good, and you have, like, especially Half-Life 2, you had all the physics stuff and everything, you had a lot of great gameplay elements there, but always the kind of the story elements were kind of these like set piece moments. And I think having higher production value helps with that. And a lot of the stuff that you see in VR are kind of smaller experiences that are made by smaller teams. And I feel like a lot of the art and time spent to make things pretty and all that, I just think it makes those kind of things a little bit more difficult. So I feel like if someone came out and really put the time into making like a more story-driven game great with all of those bells and whistles, with like great animations on characters and all that kind of stuff, then but if you're lacking some of those types of polishes, then I almost feel like I'd rather focus on the gameplay elements to make that stuff more fun. I don't know if that's if that's a completely coherent answer or not, but
no, it makes sense. And it helps, yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm, and it all depends on the type of story you're telling, I guess. And certainly it sounds like you guys you pay a lot of attention to detail. So clearly, I guess my more realistic answer is I think whatever you guys feel like would be the best experience of what you're creating is what I would prefer you guys to make. If you think that you have something to add in the story, in a story-driven VR game that hasn't been told yet, then I would like to see that, because I think you would know best. So
but if we think we're rubbish storytellers, then it probably wouldn't be good for us to do a story-based game.
Exactly. Just to be completely honest, whatever you think is the best thing that you can contribute, I think is what.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
Definitely play to your strengths, and that's not to call out any specific weaknesses. I'm just saying, like what Ronnie, or I guess what you were saying earlier, like if you don't feel confident in the storytelling, like you guys came out with a fantastic experience for the Plank experience, and if there's other unique ideas that you have, that would tend to be more, plug and play or pick up and play type of experiences, definitely go for that, because I think we all have a lot of confidence in what type of entertainment and experience that can bring for us.
Cool.
Good answer.
Awesome. Well, we got one more question for you guys, and this is more so just, I guess.
We don't actually get asked a lot of questions on these podcasts, so that was actually kind of
you kind of put us on the spot. Ronnie's head right there. This is great. But yeah, no, this is just a way, if you guys want to provide a way for people to connect with you. I know you guys are active on the forums and online and on Reddit, but I guess this is just mainly, I just call it like the shameless plug question as our last one usually. And, how can people get connected with you, things like that. So.
Well, funny you just mentioned that, because we just got banned permanently from Reddit Vive.
What? Oh, no.
Reddit?
Yeah.
So you won't see us on there. But we have Facebook. We've got other subreddits. Our website is toast.gg. But yeah, if you can contact us through like Twitter at ToastVR, Facebook, email.
Yeah. I made a big mistake. I abused the rules on Reddit, and I had a personal Reddit account, and we share a business Reddit account, and I upvoted our own post.
Okay.
And I linked to the Reddit post from our Steam Santa update, and I think that was a big no-no that I didn't realize as well. So I'm hoping that if we be good, we'll let back on one day.
Gotcha.
It seemed a bit harsh to ban us.
Yeah,
that's all right.
That seems like a pretty honest mistake, especially like for someone new to Reddit or new to like. I mean,
Yeah. Oh well. Hopefully they're in a forgiving mood in the holiday season, right?
I think we just we'll be good and make sure we're honest about what we did wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not too worried at the moment. We're in a like a festive holiday mode, but right now.
Perfect. Well, this is the best time to be in that
We'll deal with
mode.
it next year.
So,
Awesome.
what was your last question?
Oh no, I mean that was the last question. I guess the best way for people to get in touch with you, like how do you guys prefer to get feedback and things like that?
Because it's just Richard and I, so you can anyone can really just email Toni at toast.com.au and
Toni with an I.
Toni with an I, Toni.
Yep.
Or Facebook is Richies Plank Experience or Toast VR. Our Twitter is Toast VR.
Yep.
And that's it.
Easy.
Perfect. Well, we'll go ahead and make sure to link to your website and other links as well as the game on Steam. And for everyone listening, I mean, Ronnie and I, we talked about this on a Game Talk episode a while back, and we were totally blown away. And yeah, you guys have no reason. Just get it, especially for all the new Vive owners out there, all of you guys listening. If you haven't come across this one, it was very unassuming for both Ronnie and myself. We kind of didn't even notice when it came out, and once we had it, it was just like
I think everybody
experience.
everyone that owns a Vive should also own Richies Plank Experience.
So
thank you.
No, thank you guys so much.
That's really nice.
Very humbling. Thank you.
We really do appreciate the time, guys. Thank you so much, and best of luck out in Australia. And please do keep us updated with the new projects that are coming out.
We sure will.
Awesome.
Keep up the good show.
Thank you. We'll do our best. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.